Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jo and I'm a stamp carver. I've been showing you a couple videos lately that use different tools and things that are kind of hard to find, and today I thought it would be fun to actually make stamps using just materials that you get from the dollar store. Particularly because one of the most expensive parts of stamp carving is the carving medium, which can be quite pricey if you get stuff to really like, but actually erasers are not that expensive and they're great to use. So we're going to go to Dollarama and get everything we need to make these 8 stamps, and I'll show you what it took to get these stamps carved. So click subscribe and stay tuned to see how to make these. Okay, so I'm back home from my trip to the dollar store, and let's see what I spent. All said and done, it was $12.43. So that's Canadian dollars in case you were wondering. But here's what I picked. I got a $2 cutting board. I decided to pick up this, so it is $4, but it was actually saving me some money because it had the pencils that I needed. It had a smaller cutter because, interestingly enough, they didn't have like X-Acto blade style knives. So we're going to see how this one does, and the key part is the locking mechanism that you see there. That's important, and I'll show you that later. And scissors, that's very helpful, and it's got a little cubby thing, so that'll be interesting when I pull that out. What else? I got the scratch pad for both stamping before and after. These are the erasers I chose for the stamps. I have my ink in the form of pipsqueak little markers, and finally a bigger box cutter to cut these right through. So that's what I picked up, and I'll show you now how to make a stamp out of all this. Okay, so I thought it would be fun. Let's see. You gotta keep with an eraser stamp in mind the size of your actual erasers. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to trace the outline of it so that I know exactly how big a stamp I can make. So as I said earlier, you want to try to avoid this erasers that are marketed as vinyl erasers like this one does. The vinyl ones, even though they smell amazing, this one smells like some sort of fruity thing. I love it. They have this they're kind of more plasticky, if I can put it that way. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it makes it harder to carve. And when you're working with tools that aren't ideal, i.e. this guy right here, you want it to be easy to carve, because as a general rule that I use is that you want a very sharp implement and a very soft material to carve, because if you're using a harder material, you have a bigger chance of pressing hard and then skipping out and then stabbing yourself. You don't want to do that. So you want this to be sharp so it slides easy. You want this material to be soft so it cuts easy, so you're not using force that would cause that to happen. So that's why you're looking for softer erasers. But these aren't that bad, and I want to see what kind of things we can do with it. So I'm just going to trace. So we have 4, and I think I'm going to cut these in half, but I'm going to make a design first. So I'm going to trace that guy. There's 1, here's 2, whoops, 2, whoops, I can't trace things today, 3, and 4, and all my erasers, they're the same size. So I think what I'm going to make are little vases like this, because we're going to do pencil transfer. So that was why it was important to get a pencil with this dollar store outing, because we're going to transfer our design onto the eraser with the pencil. So I'm going to make fun little pots. I think we want to make some pretty cactus designs. So I like to draw my anything that I'm going to do a pencil transfer with. I like to go over the design a couple times, and this one I think I'm going to use a sort of hatched design like that. Now that's a bigger pot. Okay, so now that we have my drawings made, I am actually going to now transfer these onto my erasers. Now, I would normally, because if you wanted to save money, you just needed to have your box cutter or your regular cutter to cut out from the paper, but it just so happens that this set that I bought came with a pair of scissors. So, you know, like I said, it was a really good value for it to buy the set. So I'm just gonna go and cut these. Okay, I've got my designs ready. You can see the sun is setting, so there's a moving shadow across this, but that makes it more fun, I think. So to get this onto the eraser, and you can see that this pencil has already sort of made marks on this, all you have to do is take one of your designs, put it upside down on the sheet or on your eraser like that, and it lines up because we already measured it to make sure that it was the same size. I'm going to actually take the ruler that came with this kit, and I am going to hold it down while I rub the pencil onto it. Now you can see it's popping up, and you can see already the pencil is transferring. So carefully I'm going to hold it still and get the other side, and ta-da, it's transferred. I'm going to do that with all the rest. So here they are, transferred. I'm going to show you carving one of them, and I'm going to choose this one with the nice Saguaro Cactus. So I got to tell you a funny story. I actually thought these, growing up, for some reason, were called standing man cactuses. I don't know why I thought that was the case, but in my head, that's what they're always called. I went to live in Arizona for a while and found out to the contrary. So this is not a gouge, and this is not an X-Acto knife, so you need to use this a little bit differently than you'd use those other tools to carve with. I'm only going to put a little bit of it up. Keep in mind that this blade flexes, so you want to keep as little out as possible, because really all you need is the tip to carve with. So with that locked, that's how you're going to carve with it. But we are going to actually cut this into two pieces first with this larger one. So I only need to have that out a little bit, and I'm going to lock that in with this bad boy. So I'm going to carve it from the top down, and nice and smooth. Oh, so easy. So there you go. That's already two stamps. I'm going to unlock this. Always keep these hidden away while you're not using them, or else you're going to get yourself or someone that you love hurt. So got to be careful. So like I said, I like to carve these with as little force as possible with a knife in the material. So this is a pretty sharp knife, and I'm using very little force. Let's see, how would I describe it? Right now, I'm using more strength to make this cut than I would with a knife in an egg, but I'd only say a little bit more than that kind of pressure. So that's really how much force I'm using. So I am going to carve this just like I would with any other X-Acto knife. Okay, so I've got them all carved, and here are my general impressions. So it is possible to carve with one of these things, and in fact I'm going to, if I can figure out YouTube enough, I'm going to actually link to a really cool video of someone who I will consider or I consider a master at using these box knives to carve, and they're obviously carving at a fair or something like that, and it's pretty amazing watching someone who is an expert just at this type of knife. So, but I got them all carved. It's a little tricky on this type of material for a couple reasons. First, because the erasers are so small, you're using such a small piece, and it's hard to maneuver and you know, make sure you're not cutting yourself. It's easier to do with larger pieces. Second, it's not ideal, this material, for carving finer details, and I think we'll end up seeing that when you see some of the spines on this barrel cactus. But all in all, it's actually quite easy. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely do it if I needed to carve something and didn't have my regular tools with me. So I'm just going to now start seeing what it's like to print these and do some test prints. So like I said, instead of ink pads, we have little markers. So a lot of dollar stores don't have ink pads, and that's, in my experience, fairly typical, but you can actually stamp with regular markers. Now keep in mind, these are washable markers, so if you get your prints wet, they will run, but it's still fun. If you're going to do this for different projects, that's probably not going to matter. So in order to do that, so let's pick a color. I want to make a purple vase. So all you do, it's really simple, is you take it and you color your stamp just like you would as if it was a like a coloring book or something like that. So I don't love the pencil marks that are still on here, but because I'm doing this only with tools that I got from the dollar store, I don't have with me acetone, which is what I typically use to remove that. So there you go, easy peasy, you've got a print. That one looks great. I'm not actually going to change anything about that one. I like it. So there you go. Because I made them as separate stamps, you can actually print them with different, you can swap the pots around and do it at a different style. And really it's an infinite number of colors and combinations. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is the Dollarama version of this. I'm considering doing another dollar store to see the different tools, because for stamp carving it really makes a difference the kind of tools you use, and it might be interesting to see different erasers at a different dollar store, see if they might have some inexpensive ink pads and what we can make with those. So if that interests you, let me know in the comments. If it's really something that people like, I might even try to get down to the US to go to a US dollar store. And if you have any particular chains of dollar stores that you like, let me know, and I can try to see if there's one in the upper New York State area. But anyway, thank you for joining me. This was really fun. Again, this was just $12 and change to make 8 stamps that stamp really cute. You can make anything you want with those, and I would do it again with this box cutter. So let me know in the comments what you think. Click subscribe, because I'm going to be working on some new videos, and if you have any specific techniques or tools that you want to see in action, let me know, and I'm happy to make those. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.